There's 104 days of quarantinecation, but we still have school in the middle. So the newfound problem of our generation is finding a good way to spend it. Like maybe finding a hobby and reading our Bible, creating cool experiments, discovering newfound cool talents, or giving your budgie a shower. Spending time in prayer, creating arts and crafts, or locating ancient treasure. It's over here! Helping around the house, doing my homework, or camping in the garden. As you can see, there's a whole lot of stuff to do before things normalize. So stick with us, cause Kids Club is gonna do it all. So stick with us, cause Kids Club is gonna do it all. Mom, the Kids Club leaders are back at it again.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Kids Club. I hope you all had an amazing week so far. As you remember, I hope you do, that we have been doing the fruits of the Spirit with Teacher Amy and Teacher Leandri the last 2 weeks. So today we are continuing on that same series, and today we're going to be focusing on the next fruit of the Spirit, which is patience. Big word. I hope that you all know what that is. Do you know what it is? Well, it's when, let's say for instance, when you say to your mom, I want it and I want it now, and mom says no. Then you have to wait. Okay, so that's what patience is. It's waiting. Okay, so we're going to jump straight into today's lesson. All right. Okay, so I'm going to start by reading from my Bible. We're going to be reading from James chapter 5, verse 7 to 8. Okay, this is what it says. Dear brothers and sisters, be patient as you wait for the Lord's return. Consider the farmers who patiently wait for the rains in the fall and in the spring. They eagerly look for the valuable harvest to ripen. You too must be patient. Take courage, for the coming of the Lord is near. Alrighty, so now we're going to go into that and understand what that means and what it means for us. So, we're going to put our imagination caps on. Alright, what does yours look like? Mine looks like, I don't know if you've seen the Vikings, when they have the little horns coming out of the hood. Yeah, that's what my imagination cap looks like. I wonder what yours looks like. So, we're going to pretend that we are farmers. You all know what a farmer is? I hope so. So, what they do is they plant crops. Alright? So crops are all the things that we eat. So that could be mealies, tomatoes, lemons, oranges, apples, anything like that that we eat that comes from the ground. Okay? They also then harvest their crops. Right? So that's a big word, harvest. What does it mean? Well, harvest is when you take the ripe fruit or vegetable off the plant, and then we can take it so that we can eat it. Does that make sense? Alright. But now what would happen if we took the fruit off? Let's say, for instance, let's talk about lemons today, okay? Because that's easy for us to picture in our minds with our imagination caps on. If we had to take a lemon off the tree before it was ready, what would it look like? Would it be nice? I know lemons are sour anyway, but do you think you could eat it? Let me show you. This is what a lemon looks like when it's been taken off the tree way too early. Does this look like something you could eat? Ugh. No, not at all. Okay? So what do we have to do? We have to be patient and we have to wait for it to come. So that when it looks like this is when it's good for us to eat, and we can put it in our drinks, we can spice up some of our food with it, we can do lots of cool things with lemon, or we could give it to our brothers and sisters as a nice snack, hey? Anyways, so what does this mean for our lives, and what does this have to do with our lives? Well, God wants us to be patient in helping Him bring people into His kingdom, which we like to call the harvest, so the crops, the food. Not really like God's going to eat us, that's a bit weird, isn't it? But that we are His children, and He wants us to bring in the people so that we can come out and be the message to everyone else. And that takes some time sometimes. Have you ever tried telling a friend of yours about Jesus, and they look at you and they're like, they don't seem as interested right then? It doesn't mean you must give up. It just means that you must just be waiting, you must be patient, you must wait, and you must try again, and try and try and try again. and eventually they will hopefully say yes and they will accept Jesus into their life, and we can grow the kingdom of God. Hey guys, so we're going into our memory verse now. So remember, if you send us a voice note or your video of you doing your memory verse, remember we're going to put a sticker on your chart, and you all know what that means. Alright, so today's memory verse is this. Are you listening? Always be humble and gentle. Be patient and accept each other with love. And that comes from Ephesians 4 verse 2. Looking forward to hearing all your voice notes. Hey guys, so for today's activity, we're going to be working in the kitchen. So you have to get your mommies and daddies to help you, or your older siblings, alright? Because we're going to be using the stove today. And we're going to be working on a cool science experiment. I hope you're as excited as I am. So the things that we're going to need for today is a pot. Doesn't have to be a big one, okay? A measuring cup. So my measuring cup is half a cup, but you can use any size as long as you use the same size cup, measurement throughout the whole activity. We're going to need some white sugar. Okay, so the importance, it can't be brown sugar because it will change the color of the end product. Okay, we're going to need a nice tall glass or a jar if you don't have a glass. Okay, and preferably a clear one so that you can see through and you'll see what I mean by that later on. Okay, we're going to need a society stick if you have one of these, and a peg, right? This is like a clothing peg. And last but not least, if you have this, if you don't have it, don't stress about it, you don't need it, okay? So this is food coloring. So over here I've got some green food coloring, but like I said, it's not necessary if you don't have it. So what we have here, this is what our end product is going to look like. Today we're going to be building some sugar crystals. And it's going to be a really cool experiment, but we're going to be focusing on the important thing here is patience, because it's going to take a while for you to see the cool end product. So you can't expect to make it now and have a cool thing at the end in 10 minutes time, okay? So you have to wait. So for those of you who don't have a society stick at home, this is another option that you can use. Alright, so I've already made it for you. So as you can see, it's just a pencil with a string with a little paper clip attached to the bottom, which is the weight. So as you can see in my end product over here and the glass over here, this is what we're going to be making sugar crystals. So this is what it will look like if it's on the stick. Alright? But if we don't have a stick, we can just do the same thing, but using a glass with a string, but make sure that the string does not touch the bottom of the glass. So like you see I did there, I just twisted it around to make sure that it didn't touch right at the bottom. You see it changes, but you can always tie a knot in it just to make sure it doesn't. Okay, perfect. Okay guys, so as you can see here, I'm at my stove. So like I said, you have to do this with your parents around with their supervision so they can help you with working with the hot surface. Okay, so the things I have here is some water just from the tap. I've got my white sugar, my measuring cup, and a spoon, and my pot. So what are we going to do? We're going to measure 3 of these cups of sugar into the pot. So that's number 1. Number 2, and number 3. Okay, then using the same measuring tool that I used for the sugar, I'm going to take my water and I'm going to put in just 1 of the same cup into the sugar. So just 1. So remember, 3 cups of sugar, 1 cup of water. Okay, this is when your parents are going to have to help you, okay, because now we're going to put it onto the hot stove. Alright, so we're going to put our pot onto the stove and we're going to get our spoon ready, and we're just going to stir the sugar until it starts to boil, okay, to make sure it's nice and dissolved. Alright. Okay guys, as you can see, we're starting to boil here. So this is when we have to be really careful because hot sugar can burn really badly. So this is when your parents need to be there looking after you the most, okay? So as you can see, we've got quite a bit of bubbles, so we're just going to let the bubbles go. Just keep stirring it gently to make sure that nothing sticks to the bottom of the pot and doesn't burn. Can you see that there's lots of little bubbles and they're really close together? So that means that we still got to let it go for a little bit longer till the bubbles kind of become bigger and less vicious. So what we're creating here is what we call a sugar syrup. Alright, so the crystals are now all come and they've come apart, the sugar crystals, and they've dissolved into the water. Alright. So at about this point, you can judge it for yourself. It's nice, everything's dissolved, there's no sugar left in it. It's a perfect, nice, clear syrup consistency. So this is a good place for us to stop. So I'm going to turn this off and then I'm going to move to where we're going to do the next step. Okay. So now we're going to prep our stick that we're going to use to build the sugar crystals on, like we have in this one over here. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're just going to dip it lightly in the syrup. Just a little bit of it. Okay. Try to get a nice little consistency of it. Let it drip on so that we can now build the basis of what the sugar crystals are going to work on. So we're going to create little seeds. So now we're going to, over the sugar, just sprinkle some normal white sugar over it just so that it sticks on it. Can you see that? Can you see that? Cool. So what we're going to do is now we're going to take our peg and our glass and we're going to measure where it is exactly so that it's not touching the bottom. Can you see we don't want that? We want it to be about 1 centimeter or 2 above the bottom of the glass because that gives it room to grow. So now we're going to put our peg where we think that is, and you see how we rest the peg on the glass like that. Cool. Awesome. So now we're going to take that out the glass, and this is where Mom and Dad's going to help us again because they're going to lift up the pot and pour the syrup into the glass. Alright? Like this. Perfect. Once we've got it like that, what we're going to do is we're going to add our color into the syrup. So you can, if you wanted to do more than one glass, that you could have done different ones and you could do different glasses, different colors, but make sure that there's enough syrup in it, in each glass. So just a little bit. And then you're going to take your spoon and just make sure that it mixes it in nicely all the way to the bottom. So this is a nice dark green that we have here today. Once you've got that, you're going to pick up your stick, or if you've got the same thing with the string, you could have done a similar idea where you wet the string and put some sugar on the string if you didn't have the stick. Okay, and we're just going to place it into the glass like this. But now the important part comes is that you must put this glass somewhere that you will not disturb it, so you won't touch it or you won't play with it for the next 7 days. Okay, it's going to take a while for your crystals to grow because once they've grown, you're going to create a nice like lollipop kind of thing that you can eat afterwards. So what happens then after your 7 days is up is you're going to take your sugar crystals out of the syrup that they were in and you're going to place them in just another glass just to get all that syrup to wash off. Once it is completely soaked down, you will see that it will start to be nice crystal form and that will be perfect for you to eat. Okay, but remember, 7 days. Thanks guys for joining us for today's lesson. That's it for today. I hope you've had a great time and enjoyed our activity that we've done together. So remember that this was patience, so you must not touch your crystals until next week. Okay, so 7 days. Are you ready? Alright. So I hope that you've had a lovely time with us together and we look forward to seeing you next time. So remember to tell your friends and see you then.